Hello, my name is Dr. Hatfield, and I'm here to introduce you to the dynamics of human development and learning styles of adults. I just want to kind of give you a brief overview of the course. Maybe it'll make it easier for you to kind of understand what my expectations are. Let me begin by first sharing this with you. This is the book that is assigned to the course. As you can see, this is quite extensive. However, you don't need to have this book to be successful with this course. Is what I've tried to add some of the information throughout this course, the modules that I have prepared for you. So you don't need to purchase the book unless you just want it. It's a pretty comprehensive book. It's a lot of information about adult pedagogy, and I've read it a couple of times, and it's very hard to read, but there's a lot of information packed into that book, and just in case you're interested. Second thing I want to cover is just the actual Moodle site. If you have the opportunity to log in, please do so, and early. The first week, there's really no assignments. I think the first assignments are actually due on the 15th, so it's quite a bit of difference between, and that's because Dr. Moody does not allow assignments prior to the first actual day that's classified as a meeting day on the calendar. So, one other thing that I need to mention on this one, this is the link to the cheating policies, plagiarism and cheating policies of Tuscum College. Please read it. It's not worth to come back 6, 7, 8 years down the road and say, well, oh, I did this for this person and I would deem that as cheating. It's just not worth it to have that hanging over your head, because there's really no statute of limitations for cheating when you earn your degree. So it's not worth it to take a chance. Let's just leave it at that. The next thing that I would like to talk to you about are some of the lessons, and I'm going to try to go through this slowly but quickly, because I know that your time is extremely valuable. We all have some of us have more than one job, and we have a family, and I do realize how important that it is, and that you're very limited for time. But there are 10 assignments total, and as you can see, if you look at those red dots, those indicate the actual assignments that will be required for you to upload or submit in some way or another. And the next thing that I like to talk about is the calendar. As you can see here's the calendar. Let me kind of open it up so it's kind of a little bit broader. The calendar is, as you can see, it's just a typical calendar. There's a few things that I would like to cover on it just to give you a little bit of more information. Let me start by the Thanksgiving break. You can see this is Thanksgiving break. Between November 21st and the 27th, there will be no assignments. I think the campus will essentially be closed down. I think some of the residential buildings will still be open, but other than that, the campus will be pretty much closed. So there will be no assignments during that time frame. The first week begins on October 15th through the 21st, and when you see that, the 21st is the last day to complete assignments that are due on the first week. And after I've kind of gone through this a couple of times, I've looked, and I may be a little bit lenient on the cognitive domain. But before you begin anything, this is actually, you have 10 days to complete this. So I really don't see a problem that you would have by attempting to complete this within a 10-day period. Just start immediately and try to get it completed. This is where the syllabus is located. I have a link, quick download here, just in case you need it. It does have my contact information on it, just in case you would like to call me, text me, or email me. I do have all the contact information there for your disposal. And then also I have the next thing that I would like to discuss are the domains of learning. And as you can see, this is probably this is what we call a foundation in pedagogy. It's an educational foundation, which means that it's probably one of the most basic levels of education. And I think one of the biggest things that most educators leave by is they don't build from the foundation level. And once you do this and you understand these concepts from the lowest level. It makes understanding a little bit easier as you go along. But this is the cognitive domain. This is assignment. Each one of these, let me kind of scroll down very quickly to kind of share with you. This is the cognitive domain, the affective domain, and the psychomotor domain. And I'll share a little bit more about those domains in just one moment. But you can see that each one of them has a forum, and they also have a quiz. Now, I can't remember if it's 4 replies that you're supposed to post in the forum, or is it 5. However, if it's 5, they're 20 points apiece. Let me kind of cover this. When you're completing or participating in a forum within this course, I'm asking you to convince me that you, first of all, read the material, looked at some of the other videos, and looked at the Domains of Learning website, and that you kind of have a greater understanding of what a domain of learning is prior to advancing or going forward in the course. So this is, if you happen to get a low grade, like say for instance, if there's 5 replies required in the forum, they're 20 points apiece. And let's say, for instance, if you put a post, and one of the posts may be, oh, I totally agree with this statement, and I would use that if I had the opportunity. Now that's a statement. That's I would classify that as a rhetorical statement or rhetoric or a blanket statement, and I will not give you credit for that because there's no foundation. There's nothing to substantiate or support anything or any content from the coursework. So that's what I'm looking for. Please convince me within these forums that you have read the material and you're familiar with it. That's all I'm asking for. So the 2 options are, number 1 is I haven't graded it yet. If you get a low grade, or let's say for instance if you get the 80, number 1, you may have I just haven't graded it yet, and or number 2, you haven't given me you have given me a rhetorical statement, so I didn't give you credit for it. So I would simply ask that you go back and make an additional reply and avoid the use of rhetoric as you do this. All right, so, and again, there's a psychomotor domain forum, and here is a psychomotor domain quiz. After you kind of study the websites, and I'm going to show you a little bit more detail about that, there's a 5-question quiz that you need to take, that they'll be opened. And if I'm pretty sure that I gave you the option to take the quiz multiple times. And here's back to cheating. Please don't provide these answers. If you provide the answers to the other students, that's a form of cheating. If you're a student that receives those answers and you use them during the quiz, that also in itself is a form of cheating. So be very careful about that. Let me go back to the very beginning, first one. This is the cognitive domain, and I'll click on it to open it up to kind of give you an idea. Well, let me do that again. I like opening up in a new window so that it's not interfere with the screen below. But here is the essentially what they look like. Very quickly, the description, really good information about what the cognitive domain is about, and so I would suggest that you read that. I have also created a mind map. One of the things that you need to be familiar with as an educator is the concept of mind maps, and this is one of the mind maps that I have created, and I think it's really great to set up mind maps, and because I am a brain-based, my doctoral dissertation was a cognitive neurophysiological process, and so I believe in understanding how the brain functions during the learning process. So, but that's the mind map is just a map so that you can store items in the brain and recall them later, and which goes well with the cognitive domain, because this is really one of the lower order thinking skills that we have. But how do you put that information in is very important. All right, so I'm going to skip Bloom's revised. Here is these are, let me go back, I may have gone too quickly, but the information sheet. Most of the test questions come from the information sheet, and I have provided one of these for each of the domains, but you'll find most of the questions on the quizzes within these information sheets, so that's kind of makes it easy for you. And again, after you kind of go through this stuff, watch the videos, you may then take the quiz, and again, like I said, when you participate in the forum, make sure that you're convincing me that you read the material or you looked at it at least. And then this is something that I would like to share. This is Benjamin Bloom. This is the higher order thinking skills. And with this, you need to really know and understand what higher order thinking skills. And this is just one of my favorite websites. This is Dr. Wilson. She does an excellent job explaining Anderson, Crothwaller, Bloom's taxonomy. And so here we go. This is essentially, I just want to skip down here because you can read all that information. I don't want to waste your time. This is Bloom's. It's important to know and understand this. 1956 Bloom's taxonomy, and you can see that evaluation at the very top, and synthesis is the next one down. And then in 2001, a group of individuals got together, Anderson Crothwall got together and decided that synthesis, simply what they did was they changed these nouns to verbs, to action verbs. So the synthesis became create, and the evaluation became evaluate. And these are two different higher order thinking skills that you need to be aware with. And when we get to the learning objectives, I want to share that very quickly with you, and I hope you understand it in a quick way. But if you have an opportunity to read this page, I don't think that I really have anything on this, but as an educator, as a person going into HRD, education or talent development, this is an extremely important website to know and understand, because a lot of things are centered around Bloom's taxonomy. All right, let's see. That's that one. Let me go back to the main page, and that's here. As you can see, these are all links to each one of those, and they're very similar in many ways with providing information to take the test. All right, so let me kind of give you the introduction page. Of course, this is the domains of learning, which consists of the cognitive, the affective, and the psychomotor domains. And as you can see, there's some buzzwords here like automatism, the ability to pull the information from the cognitive domain into, and they call that the profess stage, into the psychomotor stage, so that you can speak it out or write it down. That is how you would recall information from the cognitive domain using the psychomotor skills. And so you have accommodation, assimilation. That's a kind of a neat little point here in itself, and it involves Jean-Claude Piaget, who came up with the theory of assimilation accommodation, plus the 4 stages of cognitive development. But more importantly for educators, I think, in my opinion, I think the accommodation assimilation is very important to understand. And then of course we have the affective domain. This is probably the least neglected domain of learning that most educators leave out, and like I said, most teachers don't even K-12 teachers really don't understand this concept, and it is so critically important. And social and emotional learning skills, I'm sure you heard of that term. And this is the affective domain, and this is the growth in feelings or the emotions. So that is probably, like I said, the least neglected when people are developing training seminars or learning modules or anything like that, even lesson plans in a classroom. But this is something that's really critical to understand. If a person doesn't have an interest in doing something, guess what? They're not going to do it. And look what we're competing against. We're competing against so many things out in this world that are so interesting compared to someone sitting down to an attempt to learn something. So, but the psychomotor domain again is the actual. I think I covered this just a little bit, but it is the visual process, the auditory process, the kinesthetic process, where you actually have to write down information. All of these things play together, and that's how you and you speak. When I speak, I'm using my psychodomator, but I'm calling on the cognitive domain, and I'm calling on the affective domain to generate feel good or interest or any of those things. But this is kind of a brief introduction to the domains of learning, and it is important for educators. This is the foundation of learning, and everybody should know and understand this. So let me go back home again. I want to share with you that the affective domain, great videos, and of course my favorite one is found within the psychomotor domain. Watch this video. This is a great video that shows all the principles and components, all the parts and pieces coming together that a person will express themselves in a way. And in this particular case, they're playing musical notes, and you can see all of the domains working together to accomplish this task. But it's really great. All right, so that's in a nutshell, and I know that's very quick, but that's the domains of learning. I think that's a really important process that you need to know and understand before you can move forward in anything with education. Because once you understand the principles of that, you can, when you start developing your learning modules, it'll all come together. But there you have it. You have a forum and a quiz times 3, and these are all due on by the 21st. I'm pretty sure. The October the 21st, which is that's plenty of time to do this, and you need this early on, because the very first and probably the most important thing that I want you to start considering, and I'm going to slow down just for one moment, and I want to emphasize the importance of this, that you're going to be assigned a project-based learning, a training module or learning module. And there's many ways to do this, but before we even start that, I wanted to share with you some of the steps. And you can see here, I'll share with you. Let me get past the domains of learning, and as we scroll down, you can see that project-based learning is, you need to understand the concepts behind project-based learning, and this is a true project-based learning. There's 2 ways to say this. You can either say problem-based learning or project-based learning. If it's a problem-based learning, I give you the problem. You know, if you understand the scientific method, and that is a constructivist theory, and I really like the idea of being a constructivist, as you can tell by me having you create a project-based learning assignment. But if you are attempting to understand what project-based learning is, it is up to you to come up with an idea. If it's a problem-based learning, essentially what I'm giving you the problem, and you don't have to go out and think of it. It's given to you, but I don't want to do that. I want to make sure that it's a true project-based learning. You can come up with any training module, anything that you would like to teach to a group, and I'll share with you how we're going to do that. And I've done this several times in the past, and it has been very successful with students. And might I also add that this has been extended to 8 weeks, so you have a little bit more time to digest the information and put it together for a good product. The other class that did this in the past a couple times in the past only had 4 weeks, and they did some really amazing projects. I was really impressed with them. And I'm looking for quality, because you guys going into a field that this is going to be the basis of what you will be doing. You're going to be required to do online training. You're going to have to develop online learning modules. You're going to have to deal with seminars and all those things. But this is I have some videos that go along with it that will give you a little bit more background information on what my expectations for the project is, and you can see the introduction to the project. Maybe a little old, but I think some of the information found in these videos are still pretty much valuable. So but there are, like, keeping the adult learning principles in mind. This is probably one of the most important things, because that's what this class is all about. You need to know and understand this principle. And but so, as I'd like to see some of the components and some of the experiences that you have with looking at this website integrated within your learning module somehow. Okay, not a difficult read, but this is truly the learning styles of adults. This is adult learning styles and principles, probably some of the most basic information that you need to do during the development process. I don't think I have any, again, this is one of those things that I'm looking for the outcomes in your project-based learning assignment. Okay, don't do this cold turkey, because I need to see that you actually have completed some of the assignments or the readings contained within this Moodle site. All right, here, the first step. These are the steps. First of all, keeping the scientific method in mind, I'm looking that you perform a needs assessment. So that means you have to have a problem. Then once you establish the problem, now you can go and work with someone. You can do this within your department that you're working in now, or you can come up with your own, or it could be quasi. I mean, the sky's the limit what you could teach someone. But know this, if you create this and you do a good job on it, it may be something you want to share on your resume or at your job interview, or if you're looking to cross-train into a different career field, you can do this. So this is something that's maybe valuable to you for long range, because I want to showcase this, and I'm going to show you one of the sites that very similar that I would like to showcase these in. So first of all, let me get back to what my I don't need to get sidetracked there. I'm sorry about that. But the very first thing, identify the problem, scientific method. All right. Then you perform a training needs assessment. I have all the information here. Here is a document that you would download, and very, very simple. Let me resize this so that it'll fit into the window here. But this is an actual copy of the needs assessment. You can see first step is to answer these questions on this needs assessment. Okay? Answer the questions based off of this Word document. And once you do that, save it to an area that you know. And then if you scroll down to the very bottom of this module, you can see needs assessment upload. This is where that you would upload the needs assessment to me so that I can look at it and give you an appropriate grade for it. Okay? All right. So, and then after you complete that, the needs assessment, what that does is it establishes a learning gap. You know, when you identify a problem, you have a problem or an issue that someone needs to learn. They have a gap in learning. And the next step is to establish that learning gap or identify the learning gap. And then you feel the need or attempt to develop learning modules, or in this particular case, a learning module that will close a gap of deficiency that you may have found in your needs assessment. So that there you go. That's the learning objective. Now let me share with you the learning objective template. This is the next one. This is the document that you need to complete. Now I'm going to share this with you because I don't want any questions as to what my expectations for this is. Create your learning objective in the area below this line. Now, what I want to do, I need to kind of get a little bit more in depth with this. But first of all, a learning objective is essentially one sentence. You can have multiple learning objectives, like when we're talking about Bloom's taxonomy, or Anderson-Crothwall's taxonomy. If we're using one of those models, I'm looking for that you use higher order thinking skills, and I'll share that with you. But notice this document. If you have, you can have as little as 1 or 2 or 3 learning objectives, depending on the learning module that you're trying to accomplish. And let me say this at this point. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Don't make it huge. Don't make a huge learning unless you think you can get it accomplished. Please do that. But don't get to the point where the course is over and you're not completed with your learning module, because it will impact your grade. But here, let me reemphasize. One sentence only, please. Or one sentence, let me rephrase that. One sentence per learning objective. And I want to share that with you as we go down. I'll have to come back to the assessment component in a minute, but we have to develop the learning objective before we do the assessment. Although backwards learning or backwards model says that you can develop your assessment first and then teach to that assessment, just like we do today in schools, and that's an acceptable form of educational practice. So that's not to worry. But let me go down to the very bottom here. I have some steps. Oops, it's at the top. Sorry. Developing learning objectives. This is a really important part. And let me see. Here, this is kind of a shortcut. How to write learning objectives using Bloom's taxonomy, a very valuable video that you really need to watch. It's 10 minutes and 52 minutes long. The videos that I've chosen are very short. This is probably the longest video that you'll have to watch, is this intro video that covers the material in the syllabus. But okay, all the resources needed to complete this. This is a e-learning online objective builder, and this is a learning module in itself if you wanted to create something like this. But I'm looking for video, and I'm looking for interactive learning that people would have. All right, so here we go. Let me kind of get through here. This is measurable objectives worksheet. This is probably the most important part of the worksheet. I'm sorry the telephone's going off. It's kind of distracting, but here we go. This is a measurable objectives worksheet. You can see that this one is probably this. I've used this for so many years. It's not even funny. But if you look at this measurable objectives worksheet, you can see that the only part that you really need to know and understand, and there's one exception here, you need to make sure that you add the action verb from Bloom's taxonomy, whether you're using Bloom's or Anderson-Crothwall's. Okay, and I'll share that with you. But this one, all you need to know is to understand the population, the outcome, the measure, the target, and the time frame. And don't forget that you need to include the action verb within this statement, and I'll share that with you just in a moment. But here, example, at least 80% of students who attend this blank blank will increase their math score XYZ by 30 points from fall to spring. You need a time frame. If it's the time frame could be 30 minutes, could be an hour, could be 2 days, it could be a week, it could be a month. The time frame needs to be specific. It needs to be outlined. How long do I, as a learner, have to invest to get this learning objective accomplished? And that's essentially what you're saying here. But you don't need to complete this form and submit it in any way, shape, or form. I'm just saying that this is one of the best tools that I've ever used to develop learning objectives. So it's kind of handy to have around. All right, so here we go. Let me go to Digital Blooms here. This is, there. As I mentioned, you need to show me a very good action verb in your learning objective. It needs to have one word. You can't have multiple words, just one action verb. And here is, in create is the highest in Anderson Crothwall's, and evaluate is the highest ordered taxonomy in Bloom's taxonomy. So, and I hope you understand that. I think you can get a little bit more by watching those videos, because those are very critical and important to look at. Very quickly, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this, but let's say you choose Bloom's taxonomy. Remember, understand, which is knowledge. That's the lowest level of Bloom's. That's just memorization, understanding numbers. That's the lowest level. You cannot stop. If you create, it's okay. I promise you, it's okay to create a learning objective, but you cannot stop just on this knowledge level. That's the lowest level. It's not acceptable. You need to finish after you. It's okay to do this, because sometimes you need to memorize something. You need to look at something and put it into your memory. But this is, as we go around this Bloom, you can see the application. That's still a lower order. It's not acceptable to end with the application model. Here's the analyze. That's getting closer, but I'm still looking for a higher one. But so if you create your first learning objective using evaluate or create, those are acceptable levels of Bloom's taxonomy, the higher order thinking, and that's where you stop. But don't forget, if you create a lower level, which you may have to, you create a separate sentence, one sentence in itself, create the learning objective here, bam, you're finished. Then you go to the next level and of either evaluate and create. You have to have 2 learning objectives. And sometimes people have 3 learning objectives, and that's okay. But just make sure that you end with a higher order thinking skill here. Either evaluate or create. And these are the action verbs. Now, don't put multiple action verbs in one sentence. I'm just looking for one action verb within the sentence. And you can see that the create taxonomy would have words like originate, produce, find, create, suppose, compose, transform, design, imagine. Those are the words. I'm looking for one of those words within your learning objective, so I can say, oh, I can see that this person has chosen the create taxonomy, and that's the highest order thinking skill possible. Or if you're using Bloom's, you can use one of these action verbs: moderate, give your opinion, conclude, judge, verify, so forth. Those are the action verbs that I'm looking for within that one sentence. Okay, make sure you understand that, please. And then here are, let's say for instance, if I see the word play, that's the application. You don't get the full points because I'm looking for these action verbs in the highest order learning objective that you're going to create. So don't stop. If you create a learning objective at the application level, don't stop. Add one more learning objective in the evaluate or the create level. And I hope I made that clear. Probably clear as mud. All right, so that's the Bloom's taxonomy. And okay, so there's information on this particular site that will help you to develop your learning objective. Okay. Now we next go to that's the development of the learning objectives, which is so critically important to this. All right, now after you create this, so that's step 8. make sure that you kind of follow through. This should give you a little bit of information. You need to be knowledgeable about this as you are being that professional that will be in the position to create these online learning modules or online learning, period. So here we go. The next one is I'm going to try to do this one quickly also, but you need to evaluate the training. This is how you get paid. You're evaluated on how you get paid. If you're successful in your evaluation, then that's and the number one way, the most powerful way to do this is do a pre-test and a post-test. And the way that you would do that is this is in this paragraph I've kind of described it. For the purpose of this particular project, I have kind of changed my philosophy on this just a little bit, and the reason is because it's very difficult to do a pre-test and post-test. You can do Google Form. There's a lot of programs that you can do Poll Anywhere. You can use SurveyMonkey. There's a lot of free application sites that you can use to give yourself a quiz. Dr. Burleson used Captivate, and I'm going to share that with you just in a moment. But if you have taken the plagiarism quiz, now that is a powerful thing, very expensive, and I'm going to share a little bit more about that just in a minute. But this is the assessment component. You provide the pre-test, then at the end of all instruction, then you give a post-test, and from that point, you can show growth, and if you can demonstrate growth in that model, then your employer shouldn't have any problems paying you for going through all the process and doing the training and everything else. So, but this is an example. The assessment is just simply a pre-test and post-test. Remember the quizzes that I'm very similar to the quizzes that I give you on the domains of learning. The only difference is I'm giving you a post-test. I'm not giving you a pre-test like I should. But being online, I thought it might be best just to give a post-test of information for the domains of learning quizzes. But this is an example of an evaluation form. You can it's so important, and I can't stress that enough, that it's so important to know and understand a pre-test and a post-test. And I've said that a lot, but it's really important. But these are samples. There's several samples of evaluation in here. So at the conclusion of all the training that you would receive on the learning module, you would give them some kind of evaluation so that you can prove your worth, and you can prove that the students have learned something during your learning process, or your training module that you develop. But this is an example of a form. You can choose one of those out of that list, or make up your own. But every training must have either a pro-test or a post-test, and at least a post-test. Okay, and that's important. And that's where you would upload it. So here is the learning objective that you would upload here. When you upload them, I will read them. And if I see problems or issues with them, I will make comments and send them back to you and let you know where the issues may be. And the same for this assessment evaluation form. You need to choose early on. And this is, again, I can't emphasize enough that this is something you need to start the first week thinking about it, because I don't want you to fall behind. I want you to have fun doing this, and because this is the first opportunity that you're going to have in this program is to develop something online. But the evaluation form, this is the upload site for that. Once you get your assessment component, whether it be in Word document or what have you, this is where I want you to upload it at, and then I'll look at it and see that if it's acceptable, and then you can receive a grade for it. But here, the training module, after you do all those parts and pieces that build up to the training module development, what I would like to do is, first of all, one of the things that I want to take you to another site just in a moment, just to kind of, if I can find it. I have every time I do this, I forget, because I get into discussion and I forget where they're located. But these are some of the one of the things when you're developing a course site. What I want you to do is kind of consider what delivery model, what method are you going to use to deliver that learning module. And Weebly is free, Wix is free. You can use Prezi. I would recommend using Weebly or Wix before I did Prezi, though, because I can make put a link on Weebly to take you to like Poll Anywhere or SurveyMonkey or Google Forms or something like that that you can actually respond to and collect data. I hope that makes sense. But these are all some of the websites that you may want to use as a delivery model. You can also use Moodle. But I'm going to go back. Well, let me just do that right now. This is the training module. Let me kind of share this with you. Hopefully you can see this. These are some of the sites that I want to share with you. I give a brief explanation as to what my expectations are, and keeping the adult principal learnings in mind. I shared that with you earlier. And the training module, again, hey, and this is kind of important. Almost 50% of your grade is based on this training module, so you need to do a good job. And here again are some of the links to these websites. A lot of students like Wix. A lot of students like Weebly. It's just one of those. They're both very easy. You can put a website up in 15 minutes with these. There's going to be a little learning curve because you're professionals in this field. You need to know how to create a website very quickly. So here we go. All that you need to be 100% successful. I like Google Forms because it gives you the ability to do a pre-test and post-test via email if you wanted to, and that's really one of the best ways to assess people. If you know you're going to have someone coming into the program, all you need is an active email address that you can send them an email, and it will pose them the questions. They can answer the questions, and it sends it back to Google Forms, and you can collect those data as a pre-test and post-test, and that's really cool. Let me share with you here. If you have to create a movie, Windows, if you have a Mac, it's pretty cool because it's iMovie. If you have a PC, they have a program called Movie Maker. Download, and it's free. If it's not installed on your computer already, you can go to this website and download the Movie Maker yourself, and you can cut and paste and edit movies. I use Mojave, which is a pretty cool little Movie Maker application that I use. I'm using it to record this on the desktop of my computer now. And that is, but I don't expect that you're going to spend any money on this site unless you just really want to. But I really like Mojave, and this is the way that I create this video is through Camdesk. It's CAMDESK, or I have another one that I can use, but this one requires supporting drivers from a different application to run it properly. But if you want to know more about this, I'll send you an email. Here's the Captivate. You're familiar with Captivate because that's the one that if you have taken he gives a I'm just forgot the name, just totally left my mind. But he created a quick little learning module on plagiarism. That's what it is. And the plagiarism site, and you're supposed to complete it before you start your capstone project. And he completed that completely with Captivate. Captivate, everything that you need to complete this project you can do in Captivate. The only problem I have is $29.95 a month, and it's very easy. If you give your credit card number to that site, they'll charge you monthly. And I don't know how difficult it is to get off. I have a very old version of Captivate because that's all I could afford. However, Dr. Burleson bought a really expensive version, and I'll share that with you in a moment. Also, you can get free Moodle. Free Moodle is an option. Blackboard. Probably one of the best sites to use is Blackboard, and you'll see a lot of those if you're gonna get a job. Let's say you wanted to work for a college somewhere where you want to develop online learning courses. You can use Blackboard as an excellent training tool. Those are very valuable things to put or add to your resume. For instance, if you wanted to invest in Captivate, maybe for 1 month, just like I said, be very careful about the perpetual charge of $29.95 a month. That can be expensive. But Captivate, it may not take you a month to develop this course, and if you can somehow make sure that you don't have a perpetual charge on your credit card for using Captivate, that would be an ideal way to complete this learning, and that is a very powerful thing also to put on your resume. Let me kind of share with you. These are some of the websites, and this is where I'm going to share with you. Did I go too fast on that one? Completed e-learning module links. the purpose of this course is when you get finished, there's an upload link that where you're going to make a link to your learning module. And I will, from that link that you upload to Moodle, I will go out and look at your learning module and test it. And there is a rubric on there, and it's on the website somewhere what I'm looking for. And it's a simple, basic rubric. I'm looking for that you guys have the actual experience of developing this online, an online learning module. So here are some examples. This is Harassment Made Simple. This is a simple video.
Harassment is illegal and not tolerated in any workplace. Harassment can inflict serious damage on an organization's productivity.
That is a very high quality video, but if you wanted to create a video like that, now you can almost do that with iMovie, or you can do that with Mojave, the program that I use on this particular website. They're very powerful. And here's Fred Kaufman, Managing Conflict. This is I think this is a course.
Have you ever felt that if you tell the other person what you really think, that's going to be the end of your relationship? Have you ever stopped yourself from saying what you think?
These are just examples. Here's the training module that Dr. Burleson created. Like I said, this is probably one of the quickest things that you can get through this module if you wanted to. You don't even have to speak because it does the speaking for you. But if you've taken this, if you're, you may have already had this. I guess what I'm simply trying to say.
You can pause, forward, and rewind this tutorial using the controls below. Plagiarism and falsification of documents. Plagiarism is a form. But that's a program that Dr. Burleson created, and it's an online program. This is probably one of my favorite, and it's still there. And I don't know. There's just something about this one that I really like. They use a website to create the module, learning module. They created videos. You can see they have kind of examples to support the videos, and you can see that these are the videos, and they're really captivating, really great videos. But you don't have to be this high quality.
Hi, my name is Bernice Madsen. You'll see me throughout this video helping a photographer friend answer some copyright questions.
But there's always those eager beavers, or those people who will always go do more than what's expected, and this is what I expect from those kind of people, and that's great. And you can see that this one has the videos. There's 3 supporting videos. There's supporting text information that if they so choose that they can go through and look at that. And then at the end they have an online program where they created a game that answers test questions, and I think it's absolutely wonderful little program. But look at this one very closely to kind of give you some extra ideas. Let's see, 6. These are all videos, different kind of training modules that you can look. And what I would like to do, I have some that I haven't showcased yet, but some from the other classes. But what I would like to do is when you get your module completed and you make the link in the appropriate place on the upload on the Moodle site, what I would like to do is take that link and add it to this site with your, if you want your name added, that would be great. But the good thing about this one is you can give me the link and I can put it here, and if you so wish, you can give the link to your future employers if you wish to cross-train into a different career field, especially in the HRD. This would be a good opportunity to showcase your work if you wanted to do this. And this is something that you can improve on. Once you turn it into me and you're not satisfied, or you want to improve it or continue building on it, you may do so. By the end of the program, you would have a pretty good product to share and with your, maybe if you're looking to change jobs or something like that, it's a great opportunity to showcase them there. But now these are just some training modules, just example. This being a project-based learning assignment, the sky is the limit, and I want you to know and understand that the sky is the limit. Okay, and just a couple more. Let me share this with you. At the very bottom of this page, I have a group peer evaluation. This is an online peer evaluation. You may work together in groups of 2. And I have had so many issues where group works, especially when you go to that third person. There's always one or two people that do all the work in a group, and there's always one person that kind of ride the coattails of the people who actually do the work, and then they get the grade. And this is one way that I do that. It's not it wasn't an option. I had to do this because I would get complaints from other students that would say, well, this person just didn't make any contributions. So this is totally optional. You don't even have to do this. And if you're doing this learning module on your own, what I would, this is, you don't even have to consider this to evaluation. But let's say if you are in partners and you do this, let me kind of enlarge this again. I want to share this with you. You can see that this is a peer evaluation. You fill it out. Make sure that you put the project name, HRD. That's so critically important, so I know where to apply it to. Put the evaluator's name, and that would be the person who actually evaluated another person, and then the name of the person being evaluated, and then you just simply go down this list, and then right here I have an additional comments box so that I can actually see what's going on, and then if you want to. But when you submit it now, it's important to note that if you do this, their grades will be affected by what you choose to write about them. So very few get turned in. The best thing to do if you think you have a bad partner, you don't have to stay with that partner. You can leave them out. It's just one of those things. Sometimes partnerships are really great, and I would recommend that highly if you wanted to get a partner to do this with. But there are always, something happens and somebody kind of gives up on the process. And for me, I've experienced this in my 13 years of college. I've experienced this where I've had a person that quit the program and left me hanging, and I had to complete the project all by myself, which is fine. I mean, that's one thing that you have to do. But that's just a optional thing that I throw in there just in case you need it. And I also need to say that these windows may be a little different. My window may be a little bit different than yours because I'm the administrator of this site, so it's changing. So I think that's pretty much what I have to cover. I would like to make a statement about make sure that you look at your grade book to follow your progress as you go through this. If you're missing something, you'll know what it is. And there's a checklist. I think on this particular case, I may be wrong, but on this checklist, when you submit the items, it'll automatically be checked for you. However, the checklist does count as a grade, and that's just kind of a free grade for me. So as you're checking off these items, you get an extra grade added into the mix. So, and it doesn't cost anything, but that's just something to remember. Look at your grade book, monitor progress, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call me, text me. And again, my phone number is on the syllabus that's located right here. Just get the information there, and I hope I will do anything I can do to help you through this program. Just let me know. Thank you very much.